Good thing we have other options. Hey everyone, in this video, I'm going to install and use CachyOS for gaming. Now, CachyOS is an ARX-based Linux distribution optimized for blazing fast performance. It also brings the latest packages available for the kernel, Mesa drivers, and NVIDIA drivers. While it's based on ARX, it's not hard to use at all. The team at CachyOS has made it very easy for the new user to get started with this platform. When comparing different Linux distributions, there are usually many considerations or preferences one might make. However, since simplicity is the key for the newest user, I'll stick with the defaults provided by the developers to see if the out-of-the-box experience works best for everyone. Just as a friendly reminder, for anyone looking to make the switch from Windows to Linux, or if you're just willing to just try it out, there are some resources that you should look at to see if your games are compatible. Firstly, we have ProtonDB. This is a community database that'll let you know if your game would run on Linux. You'll also find out if there are any hurdles to running the game and what people did to get around them. This is a really good resource. The next page to take a look at is Are We Anti-Cheat Yet? As many people have said out there, anti-cheat games don't work on Linux. It's quite not true. There are a lot of games that do support Linux. However, some of the more major games like Fortnite and Call of Duty, Valorant, they're not supported under Linux. But this site keeps track of games that are allowing anti-cheat to play, and it also keeps track of those that don't. This way you have a way of finding out if your game works or not. You can even use the search bar to find your game. The first thing we'll do is head over to the website and download the distro. They offer two versions on this website: the desktop edition, which is what most people will want, or a handheld edition that can be placed on a portable PC. We're going to go with the standard edition. Now, once you've downloaded it, you need to use a tool like Rufus or Balena Etcher to write the distro to a USB stick. With your USB stick loaded up, we're going to go ahead and install CachyOS. The entire process will be relatively quick and easy. I'm currently experiencing an issue with my capture card. To demonstrate the installation process in a more controlled environment, I'll be setting up a virtual machine. Alright, so this is the first screen we'll see when we turn on our computer and load into our USB stick. This is very important. The first option, this will be useful if you have an AMD or Intel graphics card. You want to use the default. If you are using an NVIDIA card of the 16 series or better, you want to use the Cachy NVIDIA driver. I'm going to go with the first option because this is the one that worked on the computer that I set up with CachyOS, which is using an AMD graphics card. Now that we're at the desktop, we're going to go ahead and launch the installer. I like to minimize this as an installer is going to show up right after. Alright, so now it's asking us which bootloader we'd like to use, and because I'm in a virtual machine, I only have these two options. Go with the defaults. We're going to do the defaults straight through this. American English is my language. New York is the location. US default. Now, when it comes to your disk, I highly recommend you do this on its own hard drive. I typically always have a spare SSD available so that I can do things like this. I'm going to erase disk. And the default is going to be BTRFS. We'll go with just that. We'll continue by hitting next. Here we have a wide range of desktop environments. Now, I'm not going to get too much into detail. Like I said, we're going to stick to the defaults here. However, if you do want to make a different choice here, you can. But I will make only two recommendations. One that you will go with either Plasma, or the other will be GNOME. We'll go with Plasma. This is basically a continuation of the previous screen where we can add individual components from those other desktop environments into our installation. I'm going to keep everything here default, just like it is. However, down here, you may want to check these if you are using a printer for your setup. I'm going to go ahead and click next, and we'll give ourselves a name. As for the password, it is a 4-character minimum that it's required to put in here. Once we hit next, it's going to give us a summary of what's going to happen, and we'll go to install to finish it up. One thing to note is that if you are connected to the internet, all of the updates are being made through the installation. Now that the installation is complete, what we're going to do is click on this box in the middle that's going to let us restart. Once we hit done, it's going to restart the system for us. All right, let's go ahead and sign in after our restart. Once we've restarted, we are greeted with the CachyOS hello screen. And there's a lot of good documentation here that you should take a look at. at least give it a once over. The first thing I like to do is head over into this apps and tweaks menu. Here we have a menu of options to take a look at. Now, if you are using Bluetooth, it will be enabled by default here. This other item that's enabled by default is basically a CPU governor. It's gonna let it know when to go into high power. It's gonna let it know when to go into low power, or a balance mix. Most of these things you may not have to touch, but if you want to give a system update right here, just go in, type in your password, and it would start an update from here. Since it updated as we installed it, there are no updates. These first 6 here are basically good Arch maintenance options. You'll want to learn how these work because they are very important. The next thing we'll do is we're going to install the gaming packages. Type in your password when prompted, and we have a bunch of choices here. A lot of different repositories we can use. What I'm going to do is stick with the defaults here. This is the theme of the video, the defaults. We're just going to hit enter. And we have another option to make. The default is number 1. We will hit enter. And for the final one, we will once again hit enter. It's going to download about 1057 megabytes. We're going to go hit enter and let it do its thing. Now, what this is doing is installing every package necessary for gaming on CachyOS. This also means that it's installing Lutris, Heroic Games Launcher, and Steam on here for us. It's also installing things like Goverlay so that we can set up our monitoring overlay. If you want to know more of what's being installed here, you can head over to the CachyOS wiki, or you can take a look at the CachyOS welcome screen for the documentation. Once done, we can go ahead and hit enter. Another thing you may want to do here is click on rank mirrors. What ranking mirrors is going to do is find the fastest connection to help us download our software and software updates. This will make downloading packages and updating your computer much faster. Once done, we can hit enter to exit, and we can head over to our menu, take a look at games, and we can see that a lot of things are already installed, which is great. There's a lot of other things under the hood that are installed as well. From here, we can then head over to CachyOS package installer. And here they already curated a few packages that they would say are the most popular packages. So for instance, if we head over into browsers, I can go ahead and install Brave browser from here. And what I'm also going to do is click on communications, and we have Discord available to us here as well. I'm going to go ahead and install both of these, letting us know that it's going to get the Brave binary and Discord, the total size. So we'll just click OK, type in our password. We'll answer why. And it's done. The amazing thing about this is that these packages are optimized for your class of CPU for best performance. This is what they mean with blazing fast. There's a lot of things that are more compatible to the hardware that you have. Now, another thing about the package installer is that these aren't the only applications you can install. You can check out the repo. Down here, it lets us know that there are over 15,000 packages that you can install. If you're looking for a program, you may want to look for it here first. I'm going to go with one example, GIMP. And GIMP is here ready to be installed. There's also another way that you can install your applications, and that's through the command line. Now, don't be afraid of the command line. There are a bunch of cool things that we can do here. For instance, we could do Aru and type in the word GIMP right after it. And what it's going to do is find all the packages with GIMP in it. And we could go to the very top. We'll see that the first option is the CachyOS Extra, which is the repository that it's getting it from. For instance, when I do this on my secondary PC, it lets me know that it's from the V3 repository, which means it's optimized for that class of CPU. So when I download that program, it is optimized for use with that CPU. So that's what we have here. I could go ahead and type number 1, and it'll install it for us. And it's going to track down all the other packages needed for it. We'll hit yes. And within seconds, we have the application already installed. Okay, so with CachyOS, there's not much else that needs to be done. What you can do is go ahead and get all of your favorite applications installed, and then we can move on to the gaming portion of this. Let's go ahead and open up Steam. Let's go ahead and log into Steam when we get the chance. Now, once you're logged in, head over to your Steam menu, go to settings and find compatibility, and turn this on. Steam is going to prompt you for a restart. Let's come right back into compatibility and check, and we'll see that we have Proton CachyOS. This is a pretty good one, so we're going to leave it as default. One thing I like to personally do is go into downloads, and I like to turn these two things off. as they're no longer necessary. As you can see, there's a descriptor here. Read it and see if this will benefit you. I prefer not having it on. All right, from here, we're going to install a few games and I'll show you the performance of the games. So one important thing before we jump into the games, what you're seeing on my screen right here is this amazing feature that CachyOS has. You want to input game-performance as one of your launch options for your Steam games. On CachyOS, we do not want to use game mode. That won't work here. Instead, you use game performance. This is a user script to temporarily switch the current power profile to performance. The performance profile increases the system's power levels and changes the CPU governor to performance. When the script is used to run a game, the system will be set to the performance profile as long as the game is running. The previously used power profile will be restored once the game is closed. Ferrule's game mode has a similar behavior, but it should not be used as CachyOS already ships with a power profiler. And I just read this off the wiki so you understand what it does. So here we have Dead by Daylight at 1080p low. This game is capped at 120 FPS, so I wanted to show that the game can hit it. And I wanted to get into a chase here so that we can see what the actual frame rate and frame time is while under pressure in the game. You know, when the most things are happening. So you can see that frame time graph right there, solid, smooth. Gameplay felt smooth the whole way. And the game mostly stayed around 120 or high teens and rarely dipped into the high 90s. So here we have a fairly older title, and I wanted to throw a racing game in here just because, you know, they're always fun to play. 1080p high settings. We could have maxed this out. You see that the FPS right now, if all the cars in front of us, is around 200. More importantly, that frame time graph is really smooth, and that's what we want to look forward to.
And take his place. Looks like you caused a fair bit of damage. Two laps to go.
Here we have Sifu, 1080p ultra settings. This game runs extremely smooth on here. As you can see by the frame time graph, solid line. The FPS is in the high 100s, low 200s. This is a really good showing here. All right, so now we're moving into games that I installed with Lutris. Went ahead and installed Hoyoverse. Here we have Genshin Impact, and I'm running this at 1080p medium. This could have easily ran at 1080p high. frame time graph, pretty smooth. This game is locked at 60, doesn't go further than that, but you do see that the 60 is pretty much almost a hard lock. You rarely see that thing hit anything in the 50s, just straight 60 all through. And again, the most important part is that the game felt smooth to play too. Here we have Zenless Zone Zero at 1080p medium. This one was also pretty smooth. The frame rate is all over the place, but the game felt good to play. Yeah, this is one game where you really don't want the stutters to affect you, especially when you're doing those counter moves. You want to have smooth gameplay at all times. This is the game under its worst case scenario.
My blade is already sheathed. Behave. The light is but one step away. Scatter. Once again, victory shall be mine. Target confirmed. Go. Neat and tidy. I see it.
And finally, we have Dead Island 2. Now, Dead Island 2 is running from the Pro Games launcher. This is 1080p, high settings, and smooth frame time graph. As you can see, we're hitting the 100 frames per second area. Fluctuates there between 90 to 110.
Locked. Gotta be another way in.
Okay, so at this point, you can see that CachyOS can play a wide variety of games, and the best part about it is that we see no stutters in these games. At least with my setup and the way I have it playing.
Yo? Hello?
If you guys found this video helpful, don't forget to give the video a like. I do have support links listed down below, and I recently added a new 99-cent support tier for the memberships. If you guys have any questions, I try to answer as many as I can. Leave a question or comment below. I want to thank all of you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.